PartinG tries some crazy cheeses. They actually work, and Rogue either loses, interestingly, and in a very easy fashion, or we get drawn into a mid and late game, which really puts both players' macro on show. Either way, hopefully, we'll have some fun here with PartinG versus Rogue on Oxide LE.
And our first player here on Oxide, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Don't know why I sung that. He is the Red Zerg player from South Korea. Currently top of the group, it is Rogue.
And his opponent in the top right-hand side in the blue, currently teamless, but representing Clan Dickboy in the NA scene. He is PartinG.
I completely forgot about that.
How can you possibly forget about that clan? It's fantastic.
So
PartinG,
good.
of course, a colorful and interesting addition to the StarCraft 2 scene. Always has an interesting take on things, assuming you could hear it because his microphone is historically quite bad. Though, weirdly, Grant, we talked a bit at the beginning about how strange PartinG's play is and how fun he is. But look at this, man. Look at this. He's got a Gateway Nexus. This is. Yeah. Are we sure this is PartinG?
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't, rule out shenanigans. It rules out canon shenanigans, of course, kind of. I've actually seen some Gateforge stuff out of Goblin every now and then. But it is uncommon. He did block the natural, which kind of leads us to think that there may be some aggression towards the main or third as they are split. It is a standard opener here from Rogue, apart from the fact that his natural is in the third location. On Oxide, we've seen some shenanigans. We saw Need Cannon Rush on this map. It's not going to be that, but I do think it is certainly on PartinG, who already making a small mistake. Hey, he fixes it. It is on PartinG here to make something happen because Rogue looks immense in the mid and late game. He has looked as good as Serral, as Reyna, as Dark so far in this tournament, and I would certainly be concerned if I'm PartinG about letting him get that far into the game.
And Rogue's results bear that out so far. Not only has he looked good, he's translated that power into wins, Grant. Right now, Group D is in a bit of a bind, as there's one player at 2-0, one player at 0-2, and then 4 players in the middle, sort of in a Rat King nest, tied up at 1-1 right now. Rogue, the sole competitor who has the stink of L's completely missing from his delightful bouquet. 2-0, 4-0 right now. Rogue, so far, untouchable.
Did you just say the Rat King?
Yes. Do you know what a Rat King is?
It's what my guild leader in World of Warcraft calls himself. It's also how I would describe PartinG.
Nice. A Rat King is a real thing, Grant. When a lot of rats are closely in like a confined space, occasionally their tails get tied in a literal knot together, and then they can't break free from the knot because all they do is pull, which makes the knot even tighter. When that occurs, it's known as a Rat King.
That's insane.
It's a real thing.
Void Rays. Also a real thing.
Void Rays are also a real thing.
PartinG in this game here. Not unexpected here. I'm curious to see if he gets Void Ray into Oracle or he just keeps making the voids. He is going to get this Overlord coming in here, but Rogue getting a bit of a scout. He now, of course, knows what he's playing against. Second Void Ray starts up as the Overlord dies. Keeps that tech a little bit hidden. We see Spores going down here for Rogue. He's getting his third hatchery. Actually, it's pretty late for a third hatchery. It's just completing, right? Yeah, it's just completing. Okay,
yeah,
I thought it just started for some reason. Double Spores going down. How many queens is he at? He's at 3 queens. Getting pneumatized Carapace to save his Overlords and also Scout. A few Lings out, and so far things looking relatively normal until right this moment.
Now, this is fascinating, Grant. I was about to say PartinG has a couple options. Sometimes you can go second Stargate behind this. Sometimes you can go for a Twilight Council Glaive Adept follow-up. You got a lot of options here. Going Fleet Bacon first, Grant, is highly, highly unorthodox. I don't believe we've seen this yet this tournament.
No, definitely not. There is a build, Creighton Olsen, and it is created by a man only known in legends. His name is M. Canning. I've talked about him every day. Where you get a mothership as early as you possibly can. I don't think it's going to be that. I think we're going to see incredibly quick flux veins here from PartinG, way quicker than any Zerg is expecting. And, What is going on?
The good news is Rogue is going to spot
scout.
this right away. Oh, MLG. Okay, he spots it. Thank goodness. Barely gets that last pixel, sees the fleet bacon. And of course, the one interesting thing about Protoss building capital ships is they're one of the few units that you can tell what's being built from the animation in the starport there. I don't believe there's any other unit that you can see what's being built out of the production facility. So two carriers and it's carriers and Tempest, I believe you can tell if they're being built. So carriers on the way from that Stargate Grant, and already Rogue should be preparing for this. What's his strategy going to be to respond to this insanely fast, we'll call it a carrier rush?
It's difficult. You see a lot of Zerg players, when they know they're playing against Mass Void Ray, they go for a big Hydra all-in off of like 60, low 70 workers. Rogue's lair is late. It is not even completed yet. He's going to get an Evo chamber. Some players may opt... Oh, PartinG. This is odd. This is fascinating, and I've not had the opportunity to cast PartinG in what feels like a really long time. So maybe this isn't new. Maybe this is something he's been doing and people are aware of it. But it is weird. Going carriers into Glaive depths is cool. I think PartinG is expecting the Hydra then, and that's exactly what's coming. A Dropper Lord, though, from Rogue as well, Creighton.
Yeah, Dropper Lord from Rogue should be a ton of fun to see what he goes for. I'm guessing a couple Lings into the main. That's been very, very popular in the past several days of play right now. 8-10 Lings up into the main. So annoying to deal with. A little pressure on the third getting pushed away here, but the real problem right now is that these two carriers already full on interceptors going into the main base. But look at these queens, Grant. Free Hydralisks indeed.
Yeah, I mean, the queens do a good job. They don't kill interceptors too quick, but of course they have the power of transfusions to keep themselves alive. The interceptors are starting to get a decent amount of damage, killing a few of these queens. The Void Rays both went down, right? Yeah, that's kind of not great. If the Void Rays were still here microing, it should have been a different battle. A carrier can't go down, though. These queens with their Tempest-like range taking down a carrier. That is not something PartinG needs to be losing. That is a little bit sloppy here from the Rat King himself.
Big aggression there from PartinG, and a little surprising to see him allowing both those Voids to die so early. That genuinely, Grant, just seemed like bad micro and a bad guess from PartinG. Surprised to see him even take that fight after seeing about 10,000 queens in the main. He's going to try and follow up with these Adepts, which do have Glaive, as you'll note from the orange projectiles they're firing instead of blue, the opposite of Marauders when they get the upgrade from their concussive shells, interestingly enough. And behind this, Robo Bay, a second Robo, Blink, +1, PartinG transitioning to a ground army, and it looks like this early investiture into the fleet beacon, into the double Stargate Grant, going to be a waste. I feel like that puts PartinG on the back foot economically.
I mean, he's still got 70 workers somehow. I'm so surprised here. I guess Rogue has been very concerned about the shenanigans, and he has made sure he has a strong army. If we look at army supply right now, Rogue has double and some change of his opponent. And what does PartinG have to deal with this? He's getting his first couple of disruptors now. 1 carrier, 11 adepts. Does he have batteries? He has to have load completing, but he needs them to finish like right now, because it's a very scary push right now coming here from Rogue. PartinG, though, with all of these batteries and cannons, I mean, it's not too bad so far.
Very fortuitous timing there from PartinG as the shield batteries and photon cannons finish just as the aggression from Rogue comes in. Don't be fooled. Sometimes you're like, oh, it's double the army supply, but it's really a pretty weak army if you look at the army value. Rogue's army value with these Hydras and Ravagers mixed in is actually still ahead of PartinG by 5,000 to 3,000. A huge disruptor shot, though, clearing out about 800 minerals worth of units. That's a great start to this fight for PartinG, but he's going to need all the help he can get, as Rogue behind this still has 4 bases on the way.
Yeah, PartinG's lost 3 workers so far. His wall has been kind of decimated, though, in the front. And PartinG has been split off. All of these reinforcements coming from Rogue are keeping the bulk of his army, the majority, from getting into the fight. We see another big purification over there, taking down a bunch of Hydras and Ravagers. But the Robos are now completely besieged upon. And these purification novas are no longer going to be able to go off. We're going to be stuck at just what seems to be 1 disruptor. And now PartinG has to go. He has to break this. This purification nova coming down from the disruptor on the high ground is going to be the be-all and end-all of this game. It feels like it comes down now. It is going to be an okay connection, but I still don't think it's going to be enough. There's too many ropes, there's too many Ravagers, and PartinG at half the supply of his opponent.
Really good read from Rogue here on identifying how long to stay in this fight, right? He's cranking out nothing but Ravagers, or nothing but Roaches now. He hasn't built too many drones in the last couple minutes. Really a good identification of, okay, my opponent looks strong, but actually aside from his third base, which is heavily fortified, there's not that much of the natural. So Rogue identifying the weak portion of PartinG's build, and as we see that natural nexus explode in the main base, he's really just at this point just picking off all the reinforcements from PartinG while continuing to do damage in the main. This is looking solid for Rogue, Brett, who's picking off pylons left and right just to be as annoying as possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, unfortunately at this point, this game is pretty over. There's a good amount of batteries, stalkers, and PartinG known to have some of the best blink micro in the world. It's not going to be enough, I'm afraid, here. PartinG is down over 100 supply, and that is GG. Rogue picks up the first map.
Yeah. An odd build from PartinG, as we've come to expect, right? Stargate, Fleet Bacon, second Stargate, 2 carriers, 2 Void Rays, into the main base for the pressure, but Rogue read him like a book. Not only did he see those carriers coming, he had his queens in position. He had his queens in a beautiful concave around the Void Race as well. And PartinG just not quite able to micro well enough to find the damage he needed in the early game there, Grant. And that put him, as we said, significantly behind economically because of all the investments that he'd made into tech that he was no longer utilizing.
Yeah, it was a game of StarCraft. We said the series is going to go one of 2 ways, and so far it's gone the way of Rogue just dealing with what comes his way and then going across the map and killing his opponent. I like what PartinG did. He did really miss micro, it felt like, in the main. He shouldn't have lost 2 Void Rays that early, and even staying too long with the carriers. After he started to kill a couple of queens, if he'd have kept the 1 extra carrier alive and then maybe done a little bit better with the disruptors and had 2 Void Rays, he might have held that counter push. Of course, you know, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. So it's certainly a strange game one. PartinG in full caps is saying good luck, have fun. Rogue is queued up as Terran. This is going to be fun.
Oh, wow. Yeah, let's see a PVT here. Rogue's so confident. He's probably going to beat PartinG with his off race. This is, oh, no, never mind. He switched to Zerg. Oh, we can't have fun anymore, can we, Grant? Come on.
No. I think the rules are that you have to stay with the race you pick.
Yeah, you can't change races after you've started game 1 as 1 race. You can't change in between matches. Theoretically, I believe they could. I haven't read the rule book. Most rule books say you can't. Yeah, most rule books say you can change races in between series, but again, I'm not as familiar with the ESL rule book as I possibly should be. So, rock and roll. Let's get into game number 2 here. Death Aura LE, PartinG the big boy, down 1 game against Rogue. PartinG at 1-1 right now in the group standings. Really could use a win here. 2-1 is much stronger than 1-2, but he's still not out of it by any stretch of the imagination.
No, this is, as well, it's fair to assume the most difficult matchup in the group for PartinG. Rogue has seemed to be the strongest player, and with PartinG already beating Neeb, if he loses, this is going to be a battle for him to qualify, but it doesn't matter. Right now, the only thing that matters is this next map, as we have loaded into Death Aura, and our first player, Creighton, in the bottom right, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming. He is the Red Zerg player from South Korea. It's Rogue.
And his opponent. In the top left-hand side in the blue, currently teamless, but representing South Korea proudly, all the same, he is PartinG. Exciting group so far, Grant. Have you had a chance to check the standings in between the games?
I haven't been able to see the standings between PartinG and Rogue map 1 and map 2. No, I do have.
There are no changes, which is the good news.
I was gonna say I have the power of mobile technology. I had a disagreement with someone yesterday, and I hope she's watching, about how you pronounce mobile. What is a mobile?
God. It's the American pronunciation of mobile.
So it's wrong. That's what you're saying. I get you. Okay, the Queen's angry. So. Third forced by Rogue here. Rogue forced to take his third here in the wrong position once again. PartinG, no forges, just that gateway nexus. He plays very greedy in the early game, going nexus before Cybercore, but I mean, he's seeing everything. And Rogue, I don't feel is the kind of player that's going to try and cheese out PartinG. Yeah, interesting series so far.
If Rogue were to like 12 pool against PartinG, I feel like we would be in shoe eating territory at that point, Grant. I mean, that would be just absolutely unthinkable, unbelievable. But no, we're going to see a pretty standard game so far. Hatch gas pool, single queen. Should see a second queen on the way quite soon. There she is, second queen on the way. Things looking great here right now for Rogue and for PartinG as well, who's playing a bit more standard, just waiting to see what that tier 2 tech is going to be. Now, Grant, we saw a Stargate in game number 1. Do you expect PartinG to lean heavily on the current power of Void Rays, or do you think he's got something else in him where he can mix and match and maybe go for a Twilight Council or even a Robo Opener?
I think PartinG's probably looking to go Stargate here. Let's take a look at the gases. He's still got 6 in gas. It's going to be the Twilight. So it is going to be most likely be Glaive Adept. We have seen PartinG go Blink into like 5 gateways, 6 gateways, and just pressure the 3rd. That's something he was doing about 6 months ago. But I cannot predict PartinG. This is the frustrating thing. If this was stats or SOS, I'd be like, okay, it's now a Glaive Adept push. It is going to be most likely Glaive Adepts. It could also be DTs.
Yeah, could be DTs here with the Robo down already. Again, still could be Warp Prism into DTs. Really, the question becomes, for if you're casually watching, basically you want to keep your eyes on this Twilight Council. And the longer the game goes with no Glaive Adept being researched, the more likely it is that it's going to be DT. So as you're watching that Twilight Council in the games, you see it finish, start counting 1, 2. If you get up to 10, 15, then you got to think, okay, hang on. There's still no Glaives. Definitely looking like a Dark Shrine on the way. But this game, Grant, we're going to be treated to a little bit of PartinG Glaive Adept push and count those gateways. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're one short of a Lou Bega song.
I don't know what that means.
Lou Bega famously sang Mambo number 5, which begins
a little
1,
bit of
2,
Monica
3, 4, 5. Yeah, that one. But he
one?
counts up to 5 at the very beginning of the song.
Okay.
So
I thought Tom Jones sang that.
No, Tom Jones sang What's New Pussycat. He also sang It's Not Unusual.
Not unusual. Should we just sing like Tom Jones songs for the rest of the cast? What are they going to do?
I think we'd be released from our contracts, Grant. I feel like I wouldn't get paid for today if they were like, Creighton, we hired you to cast StarCraft, and you sang 21 plays of Tom Jones's What's New Pussycat instead of...
Do you know what I'd like to see? April Fool's Day is coming up, Creighton. I would love the Queen to have Queen Elizabeth's face for one day.
The Queen? Oh, the Queen in StarCraft.
Yeah.
I was like, the Queen already has Queen Elizabeth's face for all the days, Grant. All right, let's see if the Glaive Adept push gets anything done. There's a Robo Bay behind it, which is interesting from PartinG. Focus firing the Queens here, but nice snag there for the first Queen on Rogue. And let's see if he gets any more damage done. Cancels the Shade, Grant.
Yeah, he's going to stand and fight right now. These Glaive Adepts do trade very, very well against Lings, of course, and low numbers and Queens. As soon as Roaches comes out, it becomes more difficult. 5 workers, 6 workers going down. If PartinG finds a bit more or retreats and saves these units, it's not too bad. They're dropping the main as well. This is nice. This is cute. This is a huge, huge drone pool, so although he's not killing too many workers, he's certainly... he didn't manage to pick them all up. He's certainly... he is killing a few more, actually. A little bit of a pre-return there to business for Rogue. And now the Prism dropping a couple more. 11 workers, this is okay. Rogue's down to just 30, Creighton. PartinG at 45, and he's already got Disruptors on the way to follow this up.
Yeah, pop open that Luna's Lost tab for just a moment, Grant, and note that while a lot of workers did go down, PartinG was actually able to save most of his Adepts. One of the dangerous moments of a Glaive Adept push is right now, when your opponent's Zerg has not very many drones and lots of Roaches and Lings that he built to defend against you. The counter push is always what's scary, and if you can save a few of these Glaive Adepts, you've got a much better chance of holding. The problem right now for PartinG is that he doesn't have much else on the map. 1 Disruptor, 1 Stalker, 7 Adepts, and a Prayer.
Yeah, PartinG definitely needs to defend this counter pressure. It's not the strongest counter pressure, and Glaive Adepts do very well against everything on the map right now, but he cannot stand in biles. He needs to keep the space alive. As the Disruptor comes out, that should alleviate some of this. We should see, that Disruptor load up into the Prism, and Rogue now going to be forced to go into a retreat. PartinG's in a great spot right now. Rogue has had the opportunity to redrone and will take a slight lead, but PartinG is still in a very, very scary position. Pop goes the Weasel as 1 Ravager gets taken down there. PartinG moving into Immortals, lots of Stalkers. He still has a couple of Sentries, maybe we'll get a few more, and I wouldn't be surprised maybe to see PartinG push out for too long.
Yeah, with the Immortals as creating the backbone of his army, he's going to have the strength that he needs to move forward. That defense, a little shaky from PartinG. I was a little worried the defense would be shaky from PartinG, but with just a handful of gateway units, he was really able to do a good job. We do see more Roaches coming in, and of course this lair coming up in the main base, indicating that Rogue is ready to move on to some sort of tech. Grant, are you seeing Lurker Hydra in our future?
Yeah, most likely. I think he's going to stick on Roaches for now because he's a little bit concerned of a gateway push coming his way. Roach, Ravager, Ling, great way of dealing with that. We may even see a Baneling nest for our Zerg player before too long. Drop's going to be dealt with right now by the Queens, the Lings, and the Ravagers. I'm very interested to see where Rogue goes with this, because it isn't a standard style Parting's played. Quite often you know, disruptor drops come very early and then they either work or they don't. But that continued pressure is scary, and we are seeing Rogue make a whole bunch of roaches right now, like a huge amount. Get +1 in roach speed. We might just see Rogue go. He might just be like, I'm fed up with this nonsense. I'm fed up with Dick Boys parting, and I'm going to move across the map and just try and end this now.
Yeah, definitely could be a very real possibility. We see the drone count getting clipped back a little bit, but Rogue not going all in by any stretch of the imagination. Infestation Pit still on the way here for Rogue as he's looking to get to that hive tech at reasonable times. I like that PartinG has loaded up these disruptors into the Warp Prism. I like that this is still happening. Unfortunately, he hasn't really been able to do much with these disruptor drops at all, Grant. It's still just 2 disruptors. I don't think they've had very many kills at all this game. And while PartinG is going to load up for a large army push on the north side, those disruptors failed to really disrupt any of the game from Rogue so far. Rogue has seen this coming. He's got his army in place. Going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, the disruptors are going to be the key units here for passing. He needs to get up, get a good shot on the Ravagers, and then go from there. First shot does not manage to connect. We do have a big flank coming in here from Rogue. Rogue going to get some biles down. They actually missed just sort of threading the needle between the units here. PartinG has so much. Blinking forward. He has a lot of stalkers here reinforcing. Army supplies are still favoring Rogue, but it's a lot of roaches. Rogue's +1 is not done. A big anti-timing. And the Immortal in the back is dishing out a lot of DPS here. It does look like maybe Rogue's going to be able to push this back. But PartinG not done yet. Blinking forward.
Yeah, this is a really interesting engagement here. PartinG's Immortal still alive, but finally getting chunked down. With the Warp Prism going down, though, Defender's advantage has been restored for Rogue. So these 12 roaches that are coming out at a time as his inject cycles finish up are being really powerful, and they're able to reinforce very well. PartinG, of course, has to walk a few stalkers across the map. And with Queens here, I was going to say for transfuse, but they're very low on energy. With Queens here for a bit of extra damage, I guess I should say. It looks like Rogue is going to hold this. Good pressure from PartinG, though, able to expand to a 4th base behind this, get a second robo down, and finish up his +1 here. So like you said, a bit of an anti-timing, but I like that he's keeping this pressure on. He's got a mobile army, and taking a couple of L's here might not be the end of the world. The problem, of course, is going to be that Rogue is angry, and he's now at 76 army supply. Yeah,
Rogue's got a lot of roaches on the map right now. PartinG maybe just a little overstaying his welcome. The acceleration zone generator will help him to get out of this sticky situation. For now, he's actually going to commit to fighting for as long as he can. He wants to wait for reinforcements and for robo units to get out to help him. Fine. Oh, that observer. Finally, it looks like Rogue is going to disengage a little bit. PartinG's going to keep the chase up. He just plays like such a madman and never ever afraid to fight. Upgrades are pretty even now. PartinG has managed to catch up. He finished his +1 and Rogue did not start his +2 on time. And PartinG now moving into double disruptor production. He's getting his probe count up into the 70s himself. But there is already a hive 70% done here, for Rogue. And the Lurker down on the way.
Yeah, PartinG's got to be very cautious with these scouting stalkers he's got on the map. He was intentionally using those to try and slow down Rogue a little bit and make sure that if and when Rogue's attack finally crashed onto the beaches of his 3rd base, he would have chunked it down a little bit, right? Removed some of the bark and a little bit of the bite from Rogue's army. In fact, these stalkers a little bit too aggressive now on the south side of the map, and they are going to get caught and unfortunately, Grant, summarily executed by this army of Rogue. These Lings doing a great job, even though they don't have any upgrades.
PartinG's just trying to buy as much time as he can with these stalkers because they are in a bit of trouble. You may get a few out, and actually it ended up being really nice there. Most players would have given up on that quite quickly, but PartinG able to multitask well and take down a whole bunch of units. Hydra's already on the way, though. Lurker Den is almost completed. The disruptor count is soon to be at 5. But I'm very concerned. What's the answer to Lurkers right now for PartinG? Disruptors are okay, but with a bunch of roaches as well, there's just not going to be enough to deal with everything. He's adding on more gateways, he's getting a bunch of zealots, but stalkers are not great. There's also going to be vipers in the mix here for our Zerg player. PartinG, it looks like he's going to go now, and I don't hate that because he's certainly on a timer.
Yeah, I think so. That said, PartinG, of course, equal workers with Rogue. Only one, no, I was going to say one base behind. He's not. With the killing of that base, he's actually even on bases with the Zerg player, which is a terrifying position to be at. We're going to see a Protoss and a Zerg player taking their 5th base at almost exactly the same time here, Grant. PartinG really not in that bad of a spot, considering their upgrades are almost dead even right now. And with 4 disruptors and a Warp Prism here, PartinG is starting to put together all the pieces and parts a Protoss player needs to really fill their tool bag and make an effective engagement. At this point, he's got a bit of splash damage from the disruptors. He's got a bit of repositioning play from the disruptors as well. He just needs a bit more DPS in this army. I wouldn't hate to see Archons or charge lots, and look at what's researching.
Yeah, he's getting charged. Charge is a little bit late, but right now Lurkers are completely killing this push. Vipers coming in as well. Does mean those yoinks coming in on the disruptors. A couple of them managed to get out, and it looks like PartinG is just going to commit to keep making disruptors to deal with Lurkers. It's a little unusual because Lurkers do take 2 disruptor hits to die. Of course they can burrow, unburrow, and the rest of the army is a constant DPSing threat. Oh, if these shots go off, one of them does go off. A very, very big shot there for PartinG. Exactly what he needs. PartinG's up in workers right now, and his +3 is really, really coming along nicely. He's fighting very well with like split armies, with not allowing Rogue to get his entire force together and take the fight. PartinG right now is dictating every battle that goes on, and it's going nicely. Also, the creep has just been denied continuously. Kill.
Yeah, this is really nice from PartinG here. That's Moody's Grant of having that multiple disruptor, that 4, 5, 6 disruptor, is because disruptors, much like Widow Mines, cause output variability in the game, which means that you don't know what's going to happen once they shoot. Like, you know when a Marine shoots, it's going to do 20 damage to whatever, however much damage it does to whatever it hits. But those disruptor shots and Widow Mine shots, not all 4 of them have to hit. There's a reason you have multiple disruptors. Zoning is most important here, and PartinG's been doing a really nice job of keeping Rogue in a bad position and taking the fights that he wants to fight. Some nice yoinks on the south side here, and that's going to get rid of most of these disruptors, Grant, leaving PartinG with just stalkers. Behind this, he's still on disruptors, but now the zealots are starting to come in, and I love that idea.
Yeah, PartinG's going to just attack everywhere right now. He's going to abuse the immobility here of Rogue's army. Lurkers do take a long time to reposition, to, you know, even with the upgrades to burrow, they have to move around. They can't be everywhere at once, whereas PartinG can. He's now moving into Storm, getting a whole bunch of High Templars as well. And I cannot reiterate enough how good PartinG has been at denying creep. There's no risk of counterattack, really, because PartinG sees everything. He has control of this map against a Zerg player 15 almost minutes into the game. And this is just some incredible StarCraft. Just wonky. It's different. It's very PartinG, but it's been so much fun.
Rogue has been doing a better job in the last few minutes of trading a little bit more efficiently than PartinG has. So if you look at the army supply and even the army value tab, you'll see that Rogue is now certainly ahead in army supply and army value. Now, he's got to make something happen here. Remember, army value itself is not intrinsically a good thing in StarCraft 2. Every unit you build is a drone you haven't built. So unless you're utilizing your army for something, it's not very effective, and you'd rather have lower army supply. But Rogue, finally, able to put his pedal to the metal and maybe apply some pressure up to this 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock base. Grant, I'm just not sure he's got enough oomph here to do it this far off of creep. I'm very concerned about his retreat here if he doesn't break this base.
Yeah, we see those storms coming down right now, getting huge hits. The Purification Novas come out as well. Yoinks coming in here are nice, but the Lurkers have already been kind of thinned out in the front here, and what that means is Rogue is going to be forced to retreat. The Vipers have been okay in this game. The Yoinks have been all right, but PartinG's had the economy to throw away a couple of units, and now his tech is getting better as he has Storm, he has Archons. He still has those disruptors coming in. He's at +3, not started any armor upgrades. PartinG is doing a really good job, and if he can just manage to get a very good fight where he kills a good chunk of Lurkers, this could snowball in his favor massively here.
Absolutely. We said at the beginning of the game, Grant, PartinG is definitely known as the cheeky player who has some fun builds, but when push comes to shove, when life is on the line, PartinG is up there with the best of the best. There's a reason he's really good at the game, Grant. There are a million people who can cannon rush. Anybody can cannon rush. It's an art form, sure, and I'm sure Grimmy in the UK is like, yeah, whatever, anybody can cannon rush. I'm great at it. But being able to then, on the back of it, play a long macro game and transition accurately and keep up with your upgrades and put the pressure on judiciously, as PartinG has been doing, is really nice. Rogue going for pressure on the north side, but he's going to get pulled back again by PartinG, who's controlling the tempo of this game really well, even going into Stargate behind this. Yeah,
that's what I like to see. A Stargate transition is very, very good, of course, against what is happening. If PartinG can get to carriers, if he can execute enough pressure on the map to allow himself to go up in the tech tree towards carriers, it's going to be very difficult for Rogue to deal with. Rogue, of course, does not have upgrades for Aspire or anything along those lines. Some great Purification Novas once again here from PartinG. He's doing such a good job with Disruptors. The Yoinks are cute, you know. Ooh, okay, Terran player. Rogue, yeah, Rogue doing good as well, don't get me wrong, but he's just struggling so much with not having creep, with not being able to counterattack.
one thing that we haven't made enough hay about, I don't think, which, you know, it's tough when a game is this exciting to talk about everything that's going on. But one thing we haven't made enough hay about is that PartinG canceled this 12 o'clock, or pardon me, this 7 o'clock base about 4 times this game. Grant, 2 of them I think were actual kills and 2 of them were cancels. But preventing that base not only reduces Rogue's income, which has been behind PartinG's for the last 5 minutes or so this game, but also reduces the possibility for an attack happening on that south side of the map by Rogue, which means that PartinG has complete control of the south side of the map. This pressure, though, is really nice. Finally, PartinG has been caught out of position. He's got to use that shield battery overcharge, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see a recall back here if he's got it available.
I actually think PartinG instead is going to opt for a flank possibly here. It's going to be difficult, though. Rogue has finally found a position where he can control PartinG's movement, control his army, and stop the engagement coming from... Stop PartinG being the one to decide how the engagement goes. So many High Templars get taken down by those seismic spines, and now this is looking a little scary. PartinG is going to lose this base, and this amount of Hydras also kill probes very, very quickly. So on the retreat, we may see it. PartinG instead is opting to split the map a little bit. He kills some of the lurkers, but this army is still very, very vulnerable to lurker fire. A blink away here. We do see those... The Prism does get out with very little hit points with 2 disruptors inside it. PartinG kills 22 workers throughout this, so he's up so many probes right now. He hasn't been able to use the Stargates just yet. He needs to keep making ground units in order to control this game, but this is still very, very close. Anyone's game here.
That simple, seemingly innocuous attack there, doing way more damage than Rogue's hyped attack here that we had earlier with the Lurkers down. Right now, though, the Lurkers have a very awkward position on that ramp, not able to get the splash damage they need on the Stalkers. Luckily, Rogue has got so much damage done right now, and PartinG just hasn't been making any units behind this, Grant. I don't know why he forgot to make Stalkers until just now. Must have been on cooldown. The army supply's way, way in Rogue's favor right now. PartinG still in this game, but one good push from Rogue could end things. I'm a little surprised to see him letting off the gas right now. I mean, obviously, we have map hacks. We have perfect vision. We know that Rogue is dramatically ahead right now in army supply, especially with those Lurkers, but Rogue doesn't necessarily know that. So PartinG getting a bit lucky there that Rogue retreats rather than being more aggressive.
Yeah, Rogue knows that PartinG has this base down in the 9 o'clock point as well, so he's kind of unsure about PartinG's economy. PartinG's economy has been a lot better than it had any right to be in this game. PartinG needed this time. Rogue right now, if he saw what we saw, would have ended the game, but PartinG's getting time to get his disruptor count back up because it did get thinned out by the very chaotic fights here. He's clearing the creep once again, which is just, I mean, can we see how many creep tumors he's killed in this game? He has killed 20. So right now we can see Rogue's just never really been able to get creep going. It's not even fully on PartinG denying it all. He's just, as tumor goes down, it dies.
Yeah, PartinG playing a bit Zest-esque here, Grant, with 1,600 minerals in the bank, and this is a mistake that PartinG simply can't afford to make. His gateway's almost certainly not on cooldown right now. Yeah, confirmed here, not on cooldown right now, and I don't know what he's waiting for. 10 more Zealots coming in, thank goodness, but PartinG has got to make sure he keeps up with those warp-in cycles, as he is going to be under constant pressure from Rogue. Now, Rogue playing a bit more defensively as well. I think after losing those 22 drones and not replacing them, Rogue wants to continue defending and maybe building up his macro a little bit behind this. Still making Lurkers, still working on upgrades, though. A little surprised to see Rogue not, aggressively expanding here, Grant.
If PartinG can just find one fight, he can transition out of this ground-based army. He's still doing a good job with everything that he has, but it is going to become scary as the lurker count now going up towards 15. No ground army, no matter what you have, no matter how strong it is, no ground army wins a fight against 15 lurkers. It's just going to be so hard for PartinG to stand and fight, and with the Vipers here to support, disruptor shots are unlikely because that yoink interrupts the cast.
Yeah, it does, and really nice harpoons there from Rogue, who now has 3 full health Vipers and is looking very strong. Or full energy Vipers. Nice feedbacks, though, from PartinG. Unfortunately, those High Templar are going to give their lives for ire as they do lose to the Hydralisks. Good storms, forcing Rogue back here. And this looks like it could be a decent defense from PartinG, who's, nice, little Zealot flank. Those Zealots were waiting at the 7 o'clock base, able to come up from the backside. But Grant, look how much damage these Lurkers are doing. Even though PartinG wins the fight convincingly, the Lurkers still add on a lot of damage. But for the first time in a long time, Grant, I think PartinG ahead on army supply. Is he going to do it? Is it happening?
Look at the supply, Creighton. Right now, PartinG has a 46 supply lead. He's storming across the map. How many lurkers did he just kill? There's only 7 left, and that's not too bad. That was a beautiful, beautiful Zealot flank. PartinG playing as if he was playing against siege tanks and drawing the lurker fire to be split into a sort of flower almost, where they all fire in separate positioned.
And they're all out of position.
Yeah,
look at them up at the north side, Grant.
this.
They were trying to go for a push on the 12 o'clock base that doesn't exist yet. That means this fight is almost entirely just Hydralisks. The Viper's trying to add their power to it, but it's not going to be enough. Luckily, it looks like the Observer has been sniped. I don't see it here with this army, Grant.
On the map. And it's at the, base,
somewhere.
at the north side. It's at the north side.
It's this base here, so that's why those lurkers getting a lot of damage on the north side. And unfortunately, PartinG's gonna have to retreat there. And we can see, 2 observers in production. As if PartinG is like, oh man, I could have had it there. He could have clipped it off there, Grant.
He's up 70 supply right now, though. The clipping is by no means completed just yet. PartinG is in a great position right now. He has just never allowed Rogue to expand. Rogue has 38 workers, and in terms of income, it's just not good enough for a Zerg player at this stage of the game. This base that is so desperately needed for Rogue, nah. Can't kill Rogue. That was at almost full health. You should have cancelled that one, my boy. And now we see the push down to the last very heavily mined base here. It goes down, and as long as PartinG doesn't lose too much here, he has crippled Rogue in every respect in this game.
This is fantastic here. Rogue actually does get a cancel on PartinG's potential base as well. But remember, guys, PartinG is on 5 bases, whereas Rogue is only on 4. And look at the mining bases right now. Rogue on, we'll call that a quarter of a mining base, and maybe 3/4 of a mining base. So 1 full mining base that's being rebuilt right now. Rogue's economy has been tanked. And right now, PartinG on 1 mining base, 1 1/4 mining bases. And he's got a good chance to secure this top 12 o'clock base again if he wants to, because there's no creep spread from Rogue, Grant. It's 25 minutes into the game, and he's got no creep.
PartinG is right now, if we look at the income, it's 1,600 minerals a minute to 500. The gas income, which is so important at this stage in the game, heavily favoring PartinG by about 3-1 as well. He just needs to find a way to close it out. He is maybe being a little passive here, a little concerned about the stage of the game. Of course, we say this lots of times a day. What we can see, they cannot see. PartinG cannot see that ribbon where he's at 190 supply and Rogue's at 120. Because if he could, he would be all over this. We do see a couple of lurkers coming forward very late. PartinG maybe not watching the fight right there, instead adding cannons and a base on. It could have killed a couple of lurkers there that would be so difficult for Rogue to replace, because Rogue doesn't have any money.
Grant, we saw PartinG build 2 Stargates about 10 minutes ago in this game. Can you explain to me why he hasn't pumped anything out of those Stargates yet? Why is he being so intent on staying on a completely ground army against this Lurker Hydra composition?
I think he's very concerned if he transitions, he doesn't have enough on the ground and he loses the base that he needs, which is going to be this base, the base on the north side as well. So he wants to have disruptors almost consistently, and his income, although it's okay, it's not great. It's not 2,500 minerals as we see very wealthy Protosses get at this stage in the game. So it is difficult to transition, especially when you don't know exactly how the Zerg is doing. PartinG is content, and I mean, it's working for him, right? We sit there and go, PartinG, why no transition? I mean, he's winning the game without transitioning. So we do see a counterattack as well down into the base. Loads more drones going down over here, and those are the drones, the last drones really that Rogue had mining, apart from those up at the top right hand side here. But if that base were to go down, if there were to be, you know, zealots that run by and manage to take out those lurkers, then Rogue has nothing left.
Yeah, very surprising here. PartinG on 69 drones. Nice. To the 26 of Rogue. Unfortunately, he's not able to utilize all, probes. He's not able to utilize all of those probes, Grant, as he's trying to defend against this siege. He is expanding up to the 12:30, 1 o'clock base up the north side of the map, but right now he's trying to clear out as many lurkers as he can. And I'll be honest, these storms are doing a good job of zoning Rogue out, and Rogue's lurkers have to be much more aggressive. Look at that zealot flank coming up from the bottom side, though. Only one there. I thought he was going to grab a couple more.
Yeah, the thing right now is that lurkers are so difficult for Rogue to replace. He's really not mining at this point. Okay, he's mining a little, but he's not been mining for a while. It's one base and it's running out. And you know, in the words of Muse, time is running out here for Rogue, because he really needs to break this base and not allow PartinG to get the base at the north side here. PartinG's just been doing a great job of staying alive, using shield batteries, and now the super battery being utilized, killing these lurkers that are just so important. Big storm as well. I mean, he never even got armor upgrades or shield upgrades. So what he's doing with these units is very nice. He's keeping these very fragile units alive for a long time.
This is so funny, Grant. Rogue thinks that if he breaks this base, he's got a chance. He's like, okay, this is PartinG's only mining base. If I can break this one, then I can come even because I've only got one mining base, and this game much closer than I think it is. He has no idea that PartinG has grabbed this 1230 base, and Grant, and he can move up there anytime he wants. Just transfer some workers out. PartinG finds himself in a really, really nice spot here, continuing to trade effectively against these lurkers, which are not doing a wonderful job of sieging. This is one of the few times where I'm like, man, I kind of wish there were brood lords here because at least they could, dart back and forth a little bit more effectively. Even with that claws upgrade for the lurkers, they're unable to move forward quite as aggressively as they should. Shield battery overcharge going to top up that Nexus again, and we're going to see PartinG move out.
PartinG there managing to catch a couple of lurkers early. I thought maybe the blink would put him in range to pick up the KOs, but it didn't work out. He's continuing to use disruptors and overcharging his shield batteries as much as possible. Now we see PartinG blink forward to pick up a lurker. Again, every lurker he kills is almost irreplaceable here for Rogue. Rogue has no money. The 3 hours at the top means PartinG is mining a heck of a lot more. I think that means over 1,000 minerals more or 1,500 minerals more per minute. And PartinG is finally done with this. He's fed up. He's going to try and break this siege. The Zealot's coming from every angle. And PartinG, just like that, is going to pick up game 2 and take us to a map 3. Wow. GG.
My God. Grant, do you know what PartinG was waiting for before that engagement at the very end?
The Zealot's coming all the way from the north.
He was waiting for his observers. He had a fleet. I've never described observers as a fleet before, but he had 4 observers come in at the last minute. He was like, well, the Hydralists can't kill all of them at once, can they? Yeah. And so finally the observers got in along with his charge lots to get on top. What a brilliantly played game there by PartinG, who earned the crap out of that win, Grant. He has given Rogue his first L of this tournament.
Yeah, that's the first map loss for Rogue, right? Yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
And that means we have now 100% confirmed only one player has gone 10-0. And that is Dark.
Oh my God, you're absolutely right. Hokey smokes. What a game. What a tournament.
And the scary thing right now is Rogue is now in a best of 1 against the one player, one of the 2 Korean protesses you don't want to be in a best of 1 against. He could do anything. No. And you have to be ready.
Every week I cast a series called the OSC King of the Hill, which are all best of 1s.
Yeah.
And PartinG's not part of that, but the best of 1 format is always so different. Like, we have to rank the players so differently based on their mastery of the best of 1. Now, Grant, I'll be honest, I don't see PartinG. Well, I was going to say I don't really see PartinG doing something too crazy here. Game 3, IEM Katowice, everything on the line. I'd be amazed if we saw a cannon rush, if we saw a proxy Stargate, if we saw something really crazy from PartinG. But there's a reason that PartinG is the big boy. There's a reason that we know him and love him for who he is. He's crazy, man. And as anyone who lives in New York will tell you, the only way to beat someone crazy is to be even more crazy than they are.
I'm walking here.
That was good. That was good.
Thank you. It's the only New York I can do. I just watched a lot of gangster movies. Okay.
I learned, by the way, Grant, I learned how to do a Scottish accent, a Glaswegian accent. I can now. Do you want? I can only say one thing.
Okay.
I can only say one thing. I can say the word Spice Girls, but you have to say Space Corrals instead, and then you sound Glaswegian. So if you go Spice Cuddles, it's perfect, right?
It's good. It's good. I like it.
It's all I can do in the Glaswegian accent, though.
No, I'm proud of you, Creighton. And another person I am proud of in the top left of Romanticide, representing his clan, representing himself, Clan Dick Boy. He is the Blue Protoss player from South Korea, the big boy himself. It's PartinG.
And his opponent in the bottom right-hand side in the red, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming in South Korea, currently the only player undefeated in matches so far today in Group D. He is Rogue.
First map lost, the last map we saw to PartinG. And now PartinG looking to close this out. It is going to be a gateway. We're not seeing any real shenanigans. It looks like Gate Nexus here from PartinG once again. Very, very run-of-the-mill from what we've seen this series. Nothing that's going to blow our minds yet. But it's still, here on Romanticide, going to be very interesting to see what PartinG does. I do expect he'll do something different than what he's done so far, because it's just the way PartinG plays. We see the natural force onto the third, as it has been with every map so far, and PartinG going for that Nexus. Hatch gas pull here, once again, from our Zerg player. He doesn't feel the need to go pull first. It's very not Rogue, I think, to go pull first, especially against PartinG. But we're in the calm before the storm right now, Creighton.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love to see both of these players going for macro builds. I mean, Rogue, you expect, right? Rogue's going to sort of, when you get into a game 3, what happens is that you start to lean on your strengths a little more than you normally would. That's why we see Bly in game 3s going for proxy hatcheries. We see Max Packs in game 3s throwing gateways on the map. We see these players who are known for specific styles very often reverting to that style because it's what they're the most comfortable with. So I expect Rogue to go for that long game, that late game, get up to Hydra Lurker where he feels comfortable. And even though he lost the previous series, I feel like that's where he wants to go. He wants to revert to that mean. PartinG on the other side, as we've said time and time again, has a broader bag of tricks than most players do. All his tools may not be quite as well sharpened and well refined as other players, but he does have more and more of those tools of which he can use. So excited to see what PartinG goes for here, but I expect we'll see Rogue going for the long game.
Yeah, I anticipate that's what Rogue wants to. PartinG is going to go back to Stargate, as he did in our first map today. Map 2, that started with Glaver Depths, right? That's crazy. Was that map 2? Am I losing my mind?
Map 1, I believe.
Yeah.
They all run together in your head when you're casting.
Do. Map 1 was the weird carrier build, as we do have a lag spike here, Creighton. Have you got this too?
Yeah, I've got it. Oh, Damaga.
Damaga.
Oh no! This is the second time this tournament Damaga has unfortunately caused some lag. I feel bad for him. He's such a good guy.
Yeah. Awesome.
Hopefully he can catch the action on somebody else's stream or something. So good news is though we have not compromised the player's integrity. It didn't happen in the middle of a stalker fight about to happen. So we're good there. Third base down for Rogue at around the 245 mark. Pretty early third base. And Grant, it's our old friend Voidy Boy coming back here in game 3.
My question in this game is, what is PartinG going to do? Because Rogue stopped making drones, Creighton. He has 16 lings. His speed is very close to completion. He is getting his third hatchery, but he did not make drones for a long time. This is a bunch of lings, and PartinG has a Zealot, an Adept, and now a Void Ray to deal with this.
Yeah, this is looking good for PartinG. I'm a little surprised here. Once he sees these lings, I imagine a shield battery should be the first order of the day. We're going to see the drone drill through here as the drones get onto the backside, but the probe's been pulled from PartinG already. Here's what he's got to do. Rogue wants to get these drones in position. So if he does break through, PartinG can't build anything behind that, but the drones are taken care of by the probes immediately, and this is a great hold so far from PartinG, whose Void Ray and Adept are taking care of this. GG! Granted, that was so easy for PartinG! What?